Hello and welcome to another weekly update. A couple of things to get through this week. The first, let's jump straight into it. A blog post by the Microsoft Teams developer blog, and it concerns adaptive cards. And adaptive cards 1.2 are now GA in Microsoft Teams. What does that mean? Okay, so adaptive cards are the mechanism by which Teams applications can send more than just text. They can send rich text, they can send images, buttons, in these cards. And there's a couple of different formats for this adaptive card format. It's still evolving, and Teams, the way it works is that you write these adaptive cards and then they're rendered by different clients. Teams is one of those clients, so it depends on the client supporting a particular version of adaptive cards. Now the good news is that 1.2 is now supported in Microsoft Teams, and that brings with it some new functionality that Teams developers can make use of. For instance, visibility toggles, so being able to toggle images on and off just by clicking buttons within the card, so your cards become a lot richer and they have this interactivity to them. Rich text blocks, so you can change the size, you can bold, you can highlight, you can parse dates and times nicely. You could do inline text buttons, so you can have a nice text input with a button at the end of it. Things like that. It's a nicer experience for users. It's rendered nicely in Teams. It's worth just checking the overview for what 1.2 is and what it does. And yeah, so it's all good news. So any adaptive cards you have at the moment will carry on working, but this unlocks some new functionality that you can add into your application to just kind of make the experience a little bit richer. Very good to see. Okay, so what next? So a blog post I put out earlier in the week concerning PowerApps and Microsoft Teams. So this is good news actually. So it's something that's coming. It's something that's not here yet. But it's how PowerApps will be able to read context from Microsoft Teams. So you know already, hopefully, that you can take PowerApps and you can embed them in Microsoft Teams. You can add them as apps. You can put them into channels, and they're then exposed. This functionality will mean that the PowerApp has knowledge of the channel that it's executing within. So presumably, it will be passed as some kind of variable that can be read in the PowerApp or something similar to that. This is good because it means that PowerApps can be customized for the specific channel. So they can, I don't know, show specific information or maybe restrict functionality if it's not right for that channel. You could go all the way and maybe, I'm kind of presuming because this isn't out yet, it's still in development, but if you had the channel ID, you could go and pull a load of information about the channel as well. So this is currently showing as in development. It showed up on the 365 roadmap. I've done a blog post about it with as much information as we have. But good to see. It's good to see these kind of technologies working together because it's really those user experiences that benefit. It's really good. Okay, another blog post I did. This was the one I mentioned last week. I was about to release, I think. And this is an update to the Bot Builder community repo. So if you don't know what this is and you do anything in Bot Framework, you should go and check it out. It's a community-driven kind of open source extensions repo for things that are not natively in Bot Builder but are really, really useful. And there's a new update now, 4.6.5, and it includes support for adaptive card prompts. So this is a really common ask, adaptive card prompts. It's good to see this going in because it's really useful. What I really like about this is that this whole heritage, and I put this in the blog post and you can go and look through all the history in the blog post, but this feature came from a Microsoft support engineer who noticed people asking them time and again how you do adaptive card prompts, and there was no good answer. So he rolled up his sleeves, wrote a good answer in code, contributed to the community repo, and it's now there for everyone. I think that's really nice. That's really good. It's great to see. So I really like this. It's a good blog post. It's a good story blog post and a load of useful functionality as well. So I'm really pleased with this. So what else? So this is kind of a big one. It's not specifically dev related, it's more Teams related and it's IT Pro, but developers might want to know about it. And that is communication compliance. So if you haven't heard of communication compliance, it's a solution. It's part of Microsoft 365. and it's designed to help administrators monitor those kind of internal, external communications for things like violation of policy. And Teams is one of those workloads that kind of gets monitored, if you like, along with email, Skype for Business Online, third parties potentially, and coming soon as well, Yammer. So this is the whole thing you set up. You kind of tell it the things that you care about. That might be bad language, it might be bullying, it might be credit card information being leaked, like whatever it is, you kind of set up the rules that you want to watch, and then this communication compliance solution will monitor that stuff, bring it to your attention, and then you've got a number of things you can do off the back of that. You've got options there for, whether you investigate it, whether you remediate it, whether you report it, whether you, whatever it is you want to do. So that's now GA, so that's now something IT admins can use. So if you're into, maybe you're not an IT admin yourself, but you kind of follow the pulse of what's happening with Microsoft Teams, this might be a thing to kind of remind your IT admin exists, because it's now GA, which means everyone can use it. And there's a bunch of interesting new features that are coming with kind of committed development roadmaps. That's all in the blog post as well. Some new features that are coming around granular permissions, the Yammer thing I said about as well. So that's all good. Lots of exciting things happening. And then the one I'm going to leave you with is nothing to do with development or Teams. I just found it interesting. I heard it talked about at Ignite, and it's a new formula in Excel. Why do I care about a new formula in Excel? Well, it's just kind of interesting. Like, you kind of feel like, it feels like, I thought if you'd asked me, I would have said, the formula set in Excel is pretty locked and doesn't change much, but it turns out it does. This is the XLOOKUP function in Excel. It's the successor to VLOOK, which is very popular, and yeah, it's just kind of like a better version of VLOOKUP. It's called XLOOKUP because it looks up both vertically and horizontally and to the left. So if you are a big user of VLOOKUP, or you know somebody who is, I am not a big user of VLOOKUP, but I know somebody who is. My wife, who is in finance, is a very heavy user of VLOOKUP. So I have told her about this, and she is quite excited about it. So from everything I can find out, this is a good new formula to use if you are living in the Excel world. So I'm just going to leave that with you. Go and find a Excel person and contribute to their productivity with this new formula. All right, that's everything from me. Have a great weekend. What's happening next week? So there's a webinar I'm doing next week on Monday. So look out for that. That's on my. You can find that on my blog. I'm talking about that. It is for the European SharePoint. Collaboration Summit, I do believe. I will quickly find out for you. I should have found out before, really, shouldn't I? But I have no internet, so maybe I won't find out. This is a good time for the internet to die, typically and predictably. It's funny, actually. So we just had the reason this laptop is not currently connected to the internet is I just spent 15 minutes before recording this trying to trace the source of a really annoying beeping alarm, which turned out to be behind a load of stuff in the garage. So I could vaguely hear it from around the house, and it wasn't until I went into the garage I was like, what is that noise? And it's pretty loud, and there's quite a lot of electronic stuff in the garage. So turned all that off, still beeping, pulled a load of stuff out, and it turned out there's a smoke alarm in the garage, and it had fallen off its kind of thing at the top, and it was buried in a box, and it obviously got dusty enough that it started going off, but it took forever to find, and yes, I was pretty grumpy trying to find it. Anyway, it's the European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Conference webinar. That is happening on Monday, the 17th of February. There is a link on my blog post, on my blog. You can go and find it. If you go back a couple of blogs, you'll find it. You can register. So if that sounds interesting, then I'll see you there. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will speak to you again next time.